You know what you should do? You should follow me on Twitter at Bromo018. Link in the description. Do it now. Every year, career mode players are quick to search the likes of FootWiz and the EA Sports website in order to find out who the new hidden gems and the highest potential growth players are. Despite the levels of thorough scouting, if you want to call it that, there have been plenty of players down the years who simply haven't fulfilled their incredible potential. From Gabriel to Lazar Markovic. In this video we will explore a range of different players that, as of yet, haven't been able to achieve that potential. Now, it's important to know that by this I don't mean that they've failed. Almost all of these players are perhaps still playing at really high levels, but it's more that they didn't manage to reach the level that was expected of them earlier in their careers. A quick thank you to FIFAindex.com for the brilliant collection of information that was key to the making of this video. I'll leave a link to the website in the description. Before we start, if you want to get cheap games and codes, then head over to cdkeys.com for all of the cheapest prices and best deals on a whole range of products. Check out the affiliate link in the description to head over to the website. But with that being said, let's get into the list. So we've already mentioned him, so I may as well start with Gabriel. After showing some promise at Bordeaux in his early years, he had a growth of 17 up to 80 rated. Then the following season he moved to Manchester United, and as is always the case with EA, a move to a big club automatically bumps up your ratings and potential. FIFA 10 saw his potential rise to 83, but what was most enjoyable for FIFA players were the 5-star skill moves and 4-star weak foot ability. Capped at France youth levels and playing for Manchester United, there was a lot of expectations on Overton, but it never came to fruition. After some bad injury luck and unsuccessful spells at the likes of Newcastle and Wigan, the former Bordeaux winger is currently plying his trade in Bulgaria with Levski Sofia. Yes, that means that you can't even buy him on career mode anymore due to the Bulgarian First Division not being in FIFA 19. Next up we have Iturbi. Some of you may remember him as the winger who made what could only be described as a cameo role in the Premier League for AFC Bournemouth. For others, it was the Porto days that really set him alight in career mode as one of the ultimate young gems that you could bring into your club. The likes of FIFA 12 and FIFA 13 were when he really hit his peak potential at the high 80s mark. However, a lack of appearances and multiple failed loan moves have seen his potential hit a new low at 79. There was a brief increase during that time when he moved to Bournemouth on loan from Roma, which I think means that you can't get any more proof of EA rating players because of the club that they play for and not based on actual scouting data and knowledge. Now turning out for UNAM in Mexico, it's fair to say that Iturbi is more than likely not going to hit the heights that were originally expected of him. Now, a name that's more familiar to English football fans is one Jose Baxter. It was his real early days at Everton when Baxter was touted as one of the next exciting young English prospects. Although his potential was touted to be in the 88 to 89 region, he would regularly be pictured to having grown over 90 rated in the early days. FIFA 09 and FIFA 10 were the real gems of his manager mode career. However, as he started to move out on loan and get plagued by injuries, his potential began to drop. Couple that with a year-long suspension for reasons that we won't go into, and it hasn't gone as well as we originally expected. However, there is a lifeline for Baxter. Having re-signed with former club Oldham Athletic, he has a chance to reclaim his career. At only age 26, he still has quite a few years left to reach. Perhaps not quite the levels expected, but he certainly has the talent to have a successful career, providing he can stay injury free. Do any of you remember the former Italian 17-year-old sensation that was making waves for Manchester United after coming on as a substitute and scoring a winning goal against Aston Villa? Yep, that's right. The next man up is striker Federico Makeda. Despite not having played many games for Man United, the likes of FIFA 10 and FIFA 11 saw his potential rise up to a perhaps undeserved 88 rating. Of course, numerous loan moves around Europe led to that being hacked down in the FIFA games that were to follow. He still had plenty of time because it was at the young age of 17 that he broke through. His career looked to have been resurrected with a loan move to Birmingham City as he scored 10 goals in 18 games. However, with what can only be described as the worst decision of his career, he chose to move on a permanent to recently relegated Cardiff City, despite them bringing in a whole host of other strikers. It led to a lack of game time for him, and to cut a long story short, he now finds himself turning out in the Greek Super League for Panathinaikos. Of course, it's still a good level, but for sure, he hasn't reached the heights that were originally expected of him. It's time to talk about the other player that we very briefly mentioned in the description, Lazar Markovic. Most people know him from his time at Liverpool, when he was signed during the Brendan Rodgers reign as manager. The winger was brought to Liverpool from Benfica for over £20 million, but hasn't, as of yet, been able to repay the faith that they put in him with that large price tag. He has since been on multiple loan moves, but at the moment it isn't working out for him. Surprisingly, it was actually whilst he was at Benfica when his potential of career mode reached its peak. A respectable 87 rating was his growth, but after he moved, the decline slowly began, and it has now reached a point where, at 24 years old, he's rated 74 and could perhaps have reached his peak. Any of you long-time FIFA fans will remember this next one. This is a real throwback to the original Manager Mode series. Freddy Adu was a midfielder plying his trade in the MLS. Big things were expected of the USA international. The likes of FIFA 07 saw his potential rise up to the high 80s whilst he was still playing for DC United. However, his career never really reached the expected heights of him in the early days. A move to Benfica started to see the potential ratings drop, and also started to see him bounce around from club to club. He was even missing from FIFA during 11 and 12 when he returned to North America to play for Philadelphia Union. Adu ended up bouncing around from club to club in a variety of, quite frankly, random countries. After effectively retiring in 2016, I found that he actually returned to the game in early 2018 by signing for Las Vegas Lights, a team in the minor leagues in USA. So, as a result, he won't be making a return to career mode. A sorry sight for the cult hero who hasn't returned to FIFA since FIFA 13. Let's return to Italy now with a player that I'm sure AC Milan fans absolutely love. Sense the sarcasm in my tone here. Fabio Borini. Once had big things expected for him when he was in the Chelsea Youth Academy. Now, Borini wasn't necessarily a wonder kid. His highest potential on previous FIFA games was only around the mid-80s, which for me doesn't quite class as a wonder kid. However, it's very fair to say that there were big things expected for him coming out of Chelsea Youth. As is usually the story with players that seem to be on this list, a series of loan moves that were unsuccessful has led to a disappointing return on his career. After relegation with Sunderland 2 years ago, Borini somehow managed to get a move to AC Milan. He must have the most talented agent in the world. You may think that his career has actually gone down pretty well with this move, but for any of you that are keen watchers for the Serie A, you know that this not to be the case. For any of you that have Twitter, look at the replies from the fans next time Milan announce a lineup for a game, and then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's fair to say that he has no business being at a club like that. You know what? Let's stick with Chelsea's Youth Academy. Next up, we have winger Lukas Piazon. With a highest potential rating of 86 over previous FIFAs, Piazon was certainly a player that was expected to rise up to the predictions. this was probably a product of him being at Chelsea, because he has never really showed any signs of promise at the clubs on his played for list. In all fairness to him, the whole stockpiling of players issue that has surrounded Chelsea and the other big clubs around Europe for a while probably hasn't helped him. I mean, he's only 24 and he's been loaned out to 5 different teams in 4 different countries, which in my opinion really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Having to adapt to whole new countries and try and learn new languages for a 9-month period every year really can't be either healthy or complement your development in footballing terms. He had a slightly better time of it at Fulham than his other spells, but he doesn't seem to have built on it, considering he's now back at Chelsea and not doing a whole lot. With this in mind, you can still pick him up on career mode on FIFA 19, although his potential isn't quite what it used to be. So that rounds off the list for this episode. I still have plenty more of players, so if this video goes down well, then I'll certainly look into making another one later on down the line. If you've enjoyed this video and made it through to the end, then thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more regular gaming content. Let me know in the comments if there are any more players that I haven't mentioned who you feel like should be on the list. On that note, I'm Bromo18. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.